Yggdrasil 2 Awakening has been out for over a week now, so it's probably as good a time as any to get familiar with the most recent tier lists. For anyone that's new here, Yggdrasil 2 Awakening is the newest idle RPG by Noctua Games that's just launched globally. A mix of idle RPG and roguelike, the game has seen positive reviews coming from many various sources. Idle RPGs are often the best replacement for casual gamers who do not have time to spare for grinding and hardcore games. Yggdrasil 2 Awakening is currently available as a free-to-play game on both the Google Play Store and iOS App Store, so I'll have download links in the description if anybody wants to download it. Starting with the D tier, Tangerine is a slash elemental SR character. Tangerine's first ability, Lunch, provides the lunch buff to 2 allies. Allies with this buff take 25% reduced magical damage for 6 seconds. Her second ability, Breakfast, is a single target damaging skill that deals damage equal to 240% of her attack. Next in the D tier, Caspian is an ice elemental SR character. Caspian's first active ability, Frost Attack, is a multi-target damaging skill that deals 330% of his attack as damage to 2 enemies. He also makes them vulnerable to taking 25% increased damage for 6 seconds. His second ability, Freeze Heal, is a single target healing skill that heals the selected ally equal to 220% of his attack. C tier is next, starting with Mokizuki, a poison elemental SR character. Mokizuki's first active ability, Dispersion, is a single target damaging skill that deals 330% of her attack. Mokizuki's ultimate ability, Growth, is a multi-target damaging skill that deals 370% of her attack to 2 enemies. She also makes them vulnerable to taking 25% increased damage for 6 seconds. Next in C, Haley is a light elemental SSR character. Haley's first active ability, Divine Keys Light, is an AoE target buffing skill that provides all allies with 20% damage amplification for 6 seconds. Her second active ability, Light Energy Conversion, is a multi-target damaging skill that deals 115% of her attack as damage to 4 random enemies in a circular area. This skill also recovers the HP of the lowest ally by 30% of their max HP. Haley's ultimate ability, God Key, is an AoE healing skill that heals all allies equal to 320% of her own attack. She also provides the ally with the lowest HP an invulnerable shield for 4 seconds. Now, Natasha starts us off in the B tier. Natasha is an ice elemental SSR, and her first active ability, Ice Rain, is a multi-target damaging skill that deals 230% of her attack. Her second active ability, Cairo Beam, is a single target damaging skill that deals 70% of her attack as damage to the enemy with the highest BP. This skill hits 3 times for a total of 210% attack damage. Her ultimate ability, Ice Age, is a single target damage skill that deals 460% of her attack as damage to the target. Enemies around the target also take splash damage equal to 40% of her attack. Second in the B tier, Laya is a wind elemental UR character. Laya's first active ability, Haze Assault, is a multi-target damaging skill that deals 180% of her attack to 5 random enemies in a trapezoidal area. Enemies caught also get feared for 4 seconds. Her second active ability, Dark Tornado, is another multi-targeted damaging skill that deals 220% of her attack as damage to 5 random enemies in a trapezoidal area. Her ultimate ability, Dark Storm, is an AoE damaging skill that deals 240% of her attack to all enemies, and enemies caught also get 30% reduced movement speed and 15% reduced attack speed for 6 seconds each. First up in the A tier, Melissa is the light elemental UR character. Melissa's first active ability, Space, banishes the enemy with the highest BP for 3 seconds where they're unable to act and they are removed from the battlefield. During this time, the banished enemy will also take damage equal to 50% of her attack per second. Her second active ability, Space 2, is a multi-target damaging skill that deals 140% of her attack to all enemies frontline. Melissa's ultimate, Time Freeze, is an AoE damaging skill that deals 100% of her attack as damage to all enemies. Enemies caught get 25% reduced haste and take 20% of Melissa's attack as damage per second for 5 seconds. Her passive, Time Law, states that she gets increased BP over time. She can also increase her own attack by 4% up to a maximum of 36%. Next in the A tier is Kyle, and Kyle is a slash elemental UR character. Kyle's first active ability, Dragon Roar, is an AoE taunt in a trapezoidal area. This deals damage equal to 230% of his own attack. He also increases his own defense by 70% for 6 seconds after using this ability. His second active ability, Dragon Breath, is an AoE attack that deals 240% of his attack as damage to all enemies in front that get caught by the projectile. Kyle's ultimate ability, Dragon Descent, provides him with the Dragon Descent buff. This effect lets him recover 15% of his max HP for 6 seconds while also providing 20% damage reduction for 6 seconds. His passive ability, Dragon Scale Armor, provides all allies with 14% physical damage reduction. Last in the A tier is Callus. Callus is the Ice Elemental UR character. Callus's first active ability, Ice Shield, is a single target buff, which states Callus gains a shield that absorbs physical damage equal to 240% of her attack. She also gains a 25% attack buff for 5 seconds. Her second active ability, Ice Crust, is a multi-target skill that deals 160% of her attack as damage to 5 mid-range enemies that get caught by the projectile. Callus's ultimate ability, Ice Crystal Rebirth, is a multi-target damaging skill that deals 420% of her attack as damage to 5 mid-ranged enemies on the ground. Her passive ability, Frozen Hell, inflicts targets with a Frozen Mark debuff, and whenever the debuff is stacked 3 times, it forms a Frigid Hell, decreasing attack speed of all allies within it by 15% and increasing the damage they take by 40% for 5 seconds. First in the S tier is Catherine. Catherine is the Dark Elemental UR character. Her first active ability, Soul Drain, is a single target that deals 70% of her attack as damage every 0.5 seconds. 50% of the damage dealt during the skill is converted as HP and recovered for Catherine. Her second ability, Hand of Hell, is a multi-target that deals 50% of her attack as damage to 2 enemies in front while also slowing down their movement speed by 40%. Catherine's ultimate ability, Demon Descent, summons a Demon Servant and a Demon Vanguard. The Demon Servant gains 65% of her attributes, while the Demon Vanguard gains 75%. Demon Servant is long-ranged, while the Vanguard is melee, and both the summoned monsters last for a duration of 6 seconds on the battlefield. Her passive Witch Pact states that Catherine gains an invulnerability buff on the brink of death. Furthermore, every 16 seconds, she recovers 6% of her max HP. Next in S, Tsukumo is a stab element UR character. Tsukumo's first active ability, Wolf Spear Triple Strike, is a single target damaging skill that hits the enemy 3 times with different skill shots. Each hit subsequently deals 100%, 130%, and then 180% of her attack. Her second active ability, Hard Sweep, is a single target skill that deals 240% of her attack to a random enemy. Tsukumo's ability, Skywolf Destroyer, is a multi-target skill that deals 400% of her attack as damage to 5 random enemies. Her passive ability, Penetrate, has a chance to inflict enemies with a bleed debuff for 5 seconds, dealing 70% of her attack as damage per second. And lastly, in the S tier is Saya. Saya is the Fire Elemental UR character. Her first ability, Laser Impulse, is a single target skill that inflicts the target with a burn for 6 seconds. A burn deals 65% of her attack damage every second. Her second ability, Laser Scatter, is another single target attack that deals 240% of her attack to 1 random enemy. Saya's ultimate ability, Death Star, is an AoE that deals 540% of her attack as damage to all enemies in sight. Additionally, 25% of her attack as damage will also be inflicted to all enemies as splash damage. Her passive ability, Infrared Focus, lets her abilities deal 40% more damage to enemies that are affected by burns. And that concludes our tier list for the best characters in Yggdrasil 2 Awakening. Thanks so much for watching, but other than that, y'all, that's gonna do it for me today, and I'll see y'all later, bye.